welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited that you clicked on this video. This is going to be all the Christmas feelings. We're going to do all the Christmas stuff. We are going to be DIYing some Christmas ornaments. I am so excited. I've been in the Christmas spirit for months now. In this video, I'm going to be showing you 3 different ornaments. So the first one is going to be very simple. The next one's going to be a little bit more intricate, but still very easy. All 3 are very beginner friendly. And then the third one is going to be some layers, some more S curves, some more C curves, just building on top of what we had already learned from the other 2. The supplies I'm using by no means are like fancy. This is the paint I'm going to be using. It is paint that you can find at Walmart, Target, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, really anywhere. They're about 60 cents a bottle. I would suggest grabbing 4 or 5 colors. That way you have a good base, but it's not overwhelming for you. If you are not going to gift these, because I am going to gift mine, if you have a certain color you want for your Christmas trees and your Christmas ornaments, by all means go that way. For me, since I am gifting them, I really thought of the people that I am gifting them to and kept that in mind when picking out the colors. Now as far as brushes go, again, not going fancy here, I grabbed just a pack brush that I found at Target. It was very cheap, it was 10 bucks, so nothing fancy, nothing crazy. The main thing is realizing what size your ornaments are. Keeping in mind the size of your ornaments, for me, I knew I needed a very detailed brush to be able to make what I wanted to make on such a small little ornament. If your ornaments are bigger, you can use bigger brushes. Just keeping that in mind if you do need to buy brushes of what sizes you will need for the size of the ornament you have. For me, since I am shipping them across the country, I wanted a smaller set of ornaments. I specifically wanted them to be a set. So I had actually found these at Target. I really loved the way they looked. They were super cute. And it worked because they are actually mainly wood with just a little bit of white paint on them. If you end up grabbing an ornament like mine that has a little bit of paint on them, you can always use a sander and very lightly buff off the paint, or you can do what I did on some of these and just leave the paint and then paint over them, just having paint on paint. So let's get started. I'm going to actually move you over to my desk and we're going to start on the very first ornament. First things first I'm going to do is actually tape off the ribbon and the little gold piece. I plan on being very careful and not touching any of this top, but I'd rather be safe than sorry, so I'm just going to tape off just a little bit of it. I'm just using some washi tape. You can literally buy this anywhere. I'm just going to get a little bitty piece of it off, and then I'm mainly focusing right here at the very bottom because that's the part that will be closest to the tape and is most likely going to be the part that the tape gets close enough to that it could end up getting some tape on it. This is completely optional. If you trust yourself with painting the entire thing and not getting any paint there, you really don't have to do this. I'm just going to be precautious and do this to start, but we're going to do dark with light. So the whole thing is going to be a dark color. We're going to let it dry and then I'll show you how to do the actual floral piece. Now, this brush is something I've had for a very long time. It's by no means a professional brush, but it does the job really, really well. I'm just going to wet it a little bit, take off most of that water, and then dip it into the paint. I really just want to loosen up the fibers a little bit before going in with my paint. And there's a pretty good shot. You will need more than one coat. That's just kind of how these work. As you can tell, the wood piece is actually taking way better than the white, which is what I figured it would be. I'm painting over paint, so it's going to need more than one coat. And just when you're at this very tip part, being very careful, slow and steady, you're in no rush. After the second coat, so I'll show you kind of a side by side of the first coat versus the second coat. Okay, now that this one's all dry, we're actually going to get into the designing of it. Like I said at the beginning, this is going to be our simple one. This is what we're going to start with. So it's just going to be 3 little dots. Very simple. It'll almost look like a bloom, but that's what we're going to go with. That way you can just get kind of warmed up. It's a very simple design. For this, because the bauble is so small, I'm actually going to use a fine liner pen. So as you can see, the nib is very, very fine. It's very small. It works for something so small and fine detailed. And since when it's hanging on the tree, you're going to want, it's going to be viewed like this, I'm going to keep that in mind when painting. But again, completely up to you on what you want. So just a little bit of paint, and all you're going to do is one little dot, and another right here, another right there. So you can see it kind of looks like a bloom, and I'm going to do this over and over again throughout the whole thing. Having more of the paint at the very tip of your brush is really helpful since you are doing such tight little lines. Here you have it, it's all finished. Now the next ornament is going to be just a little bit more difficult, and then our final ornament will be a little bit more detailed. Now for this bauble, we are going to do kind of abstract, loose flowers with leaves. Now I want the leaves to be underneath the flowers, so I'm actually going to use this pencil and just very loosely put little circles where I want the flowers to go, so I know that would be a flower and I can put the leaves where they need to go. So just very loosely, I want a flower here, I want a flower here, one over here. And while I'm painting, this may change, but overall, it gives me an idea of how I want these flowers to look. There you go, you can see my little pencil marks. They're really just little circles. Some are more ovals because I know I want the flowers to go a certain way, but overall it gives you an idea of where the flowers are going to go, so I can put the leaves first. This bauble is going to be mainly a bunch of C curves. You can make really long S curves that go into being a little bit thicker at the ends, so it looks like a leaf. Adding in another leaf, which is just a C curve. Another C curve there. So you can see where the S curve and the C curves make leaves. Now we're going to do the flowers. These are going to be very tight C curves, so almost like little blobs, but when you put them all together, it's like making the petals, it'll look like flowers. So I'm actually using this slightly thicker brush. It's still a pointy tip, but it is definitely thicker than the fine one that we were using for the leaves. So for this, it's very simple. We're just going to make little bitty blobs, very tight C's. So one C, another C to make the other side of the petal. If it helps, also making just tight little circles connected together can also make the same effect. Whichever way is easiest for you is always the way I suggest doing it. And you don't have to stick to where each of your circles were. The joy of a pencil is it definitely just erases right off of this. So once all of your paintings are dry, you can easily just erase any of the pencil marks that you still see, and it's like it never happened. So you don't have to get super worried about covering the pencil marks. That is the joy of a pencil, is it's just gonna go away eventually. As soon as everything's dry, you can just erase them. And here is the bauble with the second coat on. So you can hopefully tell the leaves are much darker, the flowers are much darker. You can really tell the difference. There's so much more definition. So now I'm gonna let this dry again, and then we're gonna put on the middle little bit of the flowers, and then we're gonna actually add in the details for the leaves. For this, it's just doing a bunch of little dots very close together. So you can see. Now if you want something a little bit more advanced, keep in mind placement of maybe your flowers. Are your flowers looking at you head on? Are they looking at you from the side? All of those things change the difference of the placement of where you're gonna put your little middle part. So as you can see with these three, the placements are all different. Some are head on, some are on the side, and some are very, very on the side. Okay, and here you have it. It is completely done. I love the way this came out. The little details and the flowers, and as well as the leaves. It's very, very cute. I think one of my nieces will love this a lot. And now we're gonna go on to the bauble that has a lot more detail, but it really is just one step above this. So if you're getting C curves and S curves, and this was easy for the most part, you totally have the next one that'll be a lot more details. And here is our final bauble. This clearly is a different shape than the other two, so it adds to the difficulty because it's not just round, but it is going to be the same thing. We're going to still use C curves and S curves, and everything's going to be fine. We're actually not going to touch this bottom part at all. I want a bunch of flowers and leaves coming off the top and down, almost like a bouquet. So that is what we're going to go with. We're going to start, of course, most of this, because of how small the bauble is going to be the fine brush. Whenever I add in flowers, I am going to do a little bit thicker of a brush, but overall it is going to be the fine brush that we use for this. So let's get started just like the first one. I am going to do leaves first and then flowers after. And this one's going to have a lot of different flowers. This is really going to look more like wildflowers than anything else. And again, just using C curves. This beginning part is going to be super easy, super chill, because we're going to be layering. So don't think too much into it. We're going to be totally fine. We're just making our way around the bauble. Okay, and here is our first round. Like I said, it's just C curves and S curves. It's very simple. Then we're gonna go in with a medium green and then a dark green. All keeping in mind that this is super loose. It's all just C curves and S curves. Okay, and here you have just the leaves. I did add one flower, but overall these are just the leaves, and then we are going to add in the flowers next. And the flowers will just be one, maybe two colors. They're gonna have to be pretty bright colors because of how dark the background is. Okay, and here you go. This is our last bauble. So you have the flowers, S curves, C curves. There's a lot going on, but I think it looks so pretty and perfect for anyone's tree or as a gift. Okay guys, and that is our ornaments. They look so cute. I love the way they turned out. Now, if you are like me and you are shipping them, or maybe you're gifting them to someone, or even if you're keeping them and you want to keep them for a long time, I would suggest using Mod Podge. I'm going to Mod Podge mine with the paste, but there is also the spray. I'm going to use matte because I used acrylic paint, and acrylic paint is kind of a matte finish, but totally up to you. They have matte and glossy. I just didn't film it because I actually haven't done it yet by the time this video is coming up. So just telling you, I am going to do that if you do want to have your ornaments stay for a long time and not get scratched up, or if you're shipping them and you want to protect them, definitely put a protective layer of Mod Podge, either the paste or the spray, and it will keep your ornaments safer for longer. But that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do end up doing this DIY, I would love to see it. You can tag me on Instagram, or you can even put in the comments if you do it. But thank you so much, and I will see you next week.